for later. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Orange County Water Quality Facts. This is the second in a series of water information workshops, webinars that we're doing. The first one was last Monday, where does your water come from? And that's available online. And then this one is Orange County Water Quality Facts. My name's Ray Hiemstra. I'm running for Orange County Water District, Division 1, which is in Garden Grove. And our presenter tonight is Lee Yu, who is also running for Orange County Water District in Division 5, which is the Irvine area and surrounding area. So a little bit about me. So I've been working in water quality for 20 years. Most of that work is with Orange County Coastkeeper, and I've done all kinds of water quality work, policy, water monitoring, you name it. And so what we want to do is talk about water quality because it's one of the most important issues. When we talk to people, water supply is certainly right up there, and you're hearing a lot about that. But there's a lot of concern about what's in my water. Is it healthy? What do I need to know about our water? So we couldn't have a better guest speaker tonight than Lee. Lee has been working at the Orange County Water Quality Lab for over 30 years. He ran the lab before he retired recently. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lee real quick right now. And then he can continue introducing himself, and I'll bring up his presentation. Go ahead, Lee.
Okay. My name is Lee Yu. I'm a water chemist, and I worked the Orange County Water District for 31 years as a chemist, as a lab director for last 10 years. So I led the lab and supported all new analytical methods and make sure our water is safe for drinking and meet all the standard and federal and California standard regulation limit. Okay, here is my topic. Okay, those are Orange County's water quality challenges for drought-proof water supply. And currently, I'm a director of water quality at the 7 Management and Consulting Incorporated. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. California's water.
Sorry, did the slide move?
Yeah, practice. Okay. Overview is Orange County's water and Orange County Water District, OCWD, and its role in bringing water reliability of the Orange County. The history leading up to microfiltration, MF, reverse osmosis RO, UV facility, groundwater monitoring method, analytical challenges for PFAS. Now, PFAS, before we call the polyfluorinated carbon, PFC, PFAS, and 1,2,3 TCP, trichloroprofen, and nitrosamines, and 1,4-dioxane. Key to success and lessons learned and for the future. Next slide, please. Next slide. California's population is growth occurred in era of water development. Current population is over 40 million, and the world's most reshaped water system, and 1,000 reservoirs, and about over 1,000 kilometers of canals. Southern California is one of the most demand on local water supply. Also, local water supply is less than 50%. You see those Central Valley to Oroville Dam, State Water Project water, about 700 miles, LA Aqueduct, and the Colorado River, those about 242 miles to reach Southern California. And the Southern California is an arid desert. Okay, next slide. Yes, fine. Majority of population reside in Southern California, about 22 million. But the majority of rainfall in Northern California. Average rain is 13 inches, but rainfall is up and down, So sometimes like 2013, only 3.6 inches, and it's a kind of a driest year on record. And 2014 was the hottest year on record, using a lot of water and evaporations. Okay, next slide. And Orange County and water. Orange County population now is 3.4 million, and North and Central Orange County population is 2.5 million. 77% of water supply from the large groundwater basin managed by Orange County Water District. Orange County Water District was founded by state act as a groundwater management authority. South of the city in Irvine, Orange County is nearly 100% dependent on imported water from Northern California and the Colorado River. And imported water is a lot more expensive than groundwater. I think this 1,200 is about kind of before the hike. Right now is about close to 1,500, but the groundwater is 1/3 of this imported water. More cost effective to utilize groundwater. Next slide, please. And this is a map of our recycling process. You see those Orange County's groundwater basin, and then Orange County Water District, Sanitation District, treating secondary treat wastewater. Otherwise, it will be dumped to ocean, Pacific Ocean. Then taking this secondary treat wastewater to advanced water purification process. I mentioned MF, RO, UB, and then those is the purified water we sending to upstream of ANAHEIM, and those ANAHEIM, there's 24 reservoirs. So those waters percolate through the reservoir and then permeate into the groundwater basin. Next slide. So Orange County Water District provides the local water supply, reliable, adequate, high quality groundwater, and the lowest reasonable cost in environmentally friendly manner. Orange County Sanitation District is public health and protect environment by providing effective wastewater collection and treatment. Next. And I don't know how many of you remember Water Fact 21. There's ionic dose plant using the RO membrane for wastewater treatment in the first time in the world. So lime and recarbonation, sand filtration, granular activated carbon is 5 mgd, and RO is about 5 mgd. That time using cellulose acetate membrane. Currently we're using polyamide thin layer. It's more effective removal of virus and the trace organics and the minerals. And the deep well is about 5 mgd. So total capacity of Water Fact 21 is about 15 mgd. And Orange County Water District did a lot of research on RO, reverse osmosis membrane, and pre-treatment options about using microfiltration or other, the traditional or the fluctuations. First plant in the world to use RO to purify wastewater to drinking water standards. And then there's issues. In 2001, we found NDMA, nitrous dimethylamine, and 1,4-dioxane in those plant final product water. So we added the UV hydrogen peroxide advanced oxidation process in 2001. Next slide. Then Water Fact 21 started 1976 to 2003 is about 27 years. And the lime, decarbonation, sand filtration, GAC, 15 mgd. And then also OCWD had a green acres starting 1991, and tertiary treatment over 7.5 mgd for irrigation, for golf course, industrial use. And it has a purple line goes to those areas. And interim water factory. So we try to replace Water Fact 21. So we built some demonstration plan about 5 mgd using MF, RO, UV from 2003 to 2006. And we checked a lot of the water quality parameters during that time and what's the best choice of RO, MF, also UV. We tried the medium pressure, low pressure, high pressure. So that was very time consuming. About 3 years, we studied thoroughly to be ready for new water treatment plant. So groundwater replenishment system, GWRS, was built 2008, about 5 years constructions, and it's running very well. It started with 70 MGD, now is 100 MGD, can supply 850,000 Orange County residents. Next slide. So the plant currently 100 MGD, advanced wastewater purification, is the world's largest project of its kind. So we have so many visitors all over the world. It's about 4,000, water professionals and student professors visiting the OCWD, and takes treated sewer water that otherwise would be waste dumped into ocean. And then instead of dumping to ocean, we purify to near distilled quality water and provides a new 110,000 acre-foot per year source of water, which is enough water for nearly 850,000 people. Operational since January 2008, and then expanded. Phase 1 was 2015 to 100 MGD. Next slide. So this is groundwater. Our groundwater basin is connected to Pacific Ocean, and then it's a Newport Inglewood fault. It's kind of what water is coming in, groundwater. So we have injection wells prevent the seawater about 24 hours a day. We injecting about 20 MGD to 36 injection wells along the coast of the Fountain Valley and Talbot. And the production wells, we have about 207 production wells in Orange County. I think Irvine has almost 30 wells. It's about one well can supply about 10,000 people. So it's large, wells around Orange County. Okay. Next slide. Yeah. This is a more map of groundwater. It said shallow, principal, and deep. Deep aquifer has a color, like a red color or amber color. That the water is passing through those redwood layer. Then it gives us some red color, like a tea color. Especially Costa Mesa has a lot of those water has a tinted color. Then we're using UV, removing color, and NDMA to meet the drinking water standard. Next slide. So I worked Orange County Water Quality Laboratory for 31 years. And the last 10 years before I retired, I was a lab director. And we are the one to US EPA. UCMR is unregulated contaminant monitoring rule. Every 5 years, US EPA requires 5 years of monitoring. UCMR 1 starting 2000, 2005, 2006, 2010. Right now, we are in UCMR 5. It's about up to 30 unregulated compound using up to 10 methods. So currently, we do checking 29 PFAS compound and 1 inorganic lithium. Because now there's so many electric battery, so we see some contamination of lithium in groundwater and surface water. So US EPA included 1 lithium and 29 perfluorinated, polyfluorinated alkyl compounds, PFOA, including PFOA and PFOS. And the lab is a state certified from E-Lab, is the Environmental Laboratory Accreditation program, about 8 fields of testing. That includes about 200 compounds. Actually, our lab is very proactive, testing over 500, including CECs, chemicals of emerging concern, PFOA, PFOS. We are the first lab in California get certified from E-Lab for testing PFOA, PFOS, and personal care products. Over 20,000 samples and 400,000 analysis annually. So very busy work schedule, and I could manage 10 years, and then I was so kind of overloaded, and so anyway, it was a very good, rewarding experience. Next slide. So I mentioned GWRS is 3 components: MF and RO and UV advanced oxidation, and the microfiltration is remove just kind of particles and some protozoa and bacteria. And then every 21 minutes, they do backwash and return the water. Every 21 days, they do chemical cleaning to remove any some particles in the pore system. And then next one, reverse osmosis, remove everything. After RO, we call purified water. I don't know, you guys have a RO system at your house. After RO, there's no minerals, no THMs, and it's a kind of a water, it's very purified. And then we go to ultra light and with 3 ppb of hydrogen peroxide. The reason we adding hydrogen peroxide is we have a NDMA, 1,4-dioxane, some organics and the virus. Then the hydrogen peroxide making more neutral, and those are more exposed to UV light. So we call it advanced oxidation process. Next one, please. Yeah. And I checked what's passing through the RO membrane. And then, before the RO is microfiltration. So microfiltration remove those bacteria and some chemicals, bacteria. Then it comes to RO. This RO influence has after MF is NDMA is 13.2. The unit part per trillion is 10 to minus 9 is 1,000 of ppb. So then it's very low concentration, but we can check NDMA, 1,4-dioxane, triclosan, sulfur methoxazole, or sucralose. A lot of those are diabetic people using sucralose, artificial sweetener. Carbamazepine is some gloomy people, some taking carbamazepine, DEET, insect repellent, and azithromycin. I'm taking azithromycin whenever I have a sore throat, and the naproxen and the mepromate. And those, I guess, come to RO. So RO remove these 10 listed compounds. I see those most of the time. And then Dow membrane, CSM, ESPA, ESPA2, and CSM, another kind. Dow is the most expensive. Then it works better. But we have to see the other membranes, how it works. And the CSM and some other membranes like CSM FEN. So Dow remove about almost 85% NDMA, not totally remove NDMA, but some remove a little less NDMA. And this ESPA4 is kind of old, about 5 or 6 years old. And then you see those ESPA has a triclosan. Do you know where we use triclosan? Toothpaste. So in your wastewater, we have lots of triclosan coming in, about 140 passing the MF, and it comes to RO. But the others are removed except ESPA, energy saving polyamide membrane, 31.3. So I was very excited. And then I checked with the ESPA manufacturer. Oh, they said they're using triclosan to protect RO membrane from bacteria. Then membrane is getting old. Those triclosan is coming out. So we see those 31.3 ppt of triclosan. And ESPA2 is a similar one, but it's a different new brand, has 1.4 part per trillion sulfur methoxazole. I don't know. So this kind of maybe random contamination, or we found it. So the other, like 1,4-dioxane also we couldn't remove all the way. That's why UV advanced oxidation can take out this NDMA 1,4-dioxane from water system before we sending those final product water to 17 miles of ANAHEIM to upper legible area for percolations. Next slide. So why NDMA is a drinking water issue? Known occurrence in California and Colorado from rocket fuel processing. So we found some groundwater contamination from rocket fuel is thousands of ppb concentration, huge concentrations. That's another one source, one possible source. Another one we found in beer, bacon, cheese, and cured meat. So actually, I used to work in the beer company in Korea when I was in Korea. Now they making height beer. I don't know, you saw the height beer in the market. So beer has known to have NDMA and the bacon, cheese, and suspected to be a disinfection byproduct, drinking water, wastewater treatment process. I think that's the reason. When we adding monochloramine to disinfect the wastewater. Those monochloramine and ammonia in the water is reacting, making NDMA. So we found that those NDMA is a byproduct of a wastewater treatment process. That's a big issue in 2001. That's why we had to destroy the water Factory 21 and we built a GWRS plant. And the toxicity of those NDMA is very high. It's 10 to minus 6 cancer risk at the concentration of 0.7 parts per trillion. Actually, right now, Canada has a 9 PPT guideline, and the USA with a 10 PPT guidelines. We don't have any MCL or any response level like PFAS. PFAS we have some RL. I'll talk about those later. Okay, next slide. So I was very curious. So I asked their people bring your favorite beers. So it's a free of charge. We tested this beer, and one is a Coors about 27.7 PPT, Budweiser 44, Height from Korea is I used to work there 54. So and then Chang from China 119, Stella from Europe 59 is a I don't know you guys know Hefe is white beer. My boss like this white beer for wheat is low in NDMA 24.6. Then Newcastle and 149. Fat Tire is good flavor, but high in NDMA 214. Ballast is 116. Oatmeal Stout is 333. And Guinness is a Guinness from England is a 381. So I realized, okay, more dark beer has higher NDMA. But luckily, it's all less than 500 PPT. So beer company, they don't care. Those NDMA below 500 PPT, there's no problem. But we testing water. We have a very advanced system. We could see the below 500 PPT. So I'm sorry, but this is not official data, so I cannot publish. But I can show you, but this is kind of for your reference. Thank you. Next slide. So then there's an incident. FDA announced a voluntary recall of several medicine containing valsartan following detection of an impurity. So NDMA was detected the impurity of the valsartan in India, is manufacturing in India. July 13, 2018, the FDA is allowing healthcare professionals and the patients of a voluntary recall of several drug products containing the active ingredient valsartan from used to treat high blood pressure and heart failure. This recall is due to NDMA, which was found in the products. So FDA contact me, and then I also checked their data. Their data a little higher than ours, but anyway, they found NDMA, we found NDMA. So, and the NDMA is classified as a probable human carcinogens, and the presence of NDMA was unexpected and is thought to be related to change in the way of active substance was manufactured, like a valsartan may be using not purified ones. So something there like that. Okay, next slide. So then we had a fun. You know, our lab people like some science projects, and they are very happy. I brought some blood pressure control medicine, and one pill was 1 gram, and we tested was a 2.33 ppb, means about 2,330 ppt. It's about 80 bottles of beer in one tablet. And I spiked this one tablet with a 5 ppb and come out over 7 ppb. It recovery about over 102%. So I think our extraction recovered all the NDMA in the tablet. So this I confirm with the GC, MS, and our people are using the liquid extraction because we use a solid phase extraction, is using less organic solvent, but this pill was forming. So we used this traditional extraction method, about 2 liter set funnels, it dilute to 1 liter and adding 60 ml of methylene chloride 3 times. And then evaporate those methylene chloride and making a 1 ml final solution go to GC-MSMS analysis. Those interns and those the people are very happy to checking samples, so free exercise. So next slide. And then another issue, one for the extent, we using this wash detergent, dish detergent, Joy and Dawn and hand soap, Dyer, and the laboratory using those Liquinox is very expensive. This one is about maybe 100 times expensive than Joy or Dawn. We're using that because this has more pure than other brand. Then next slide. We developed a method. Actually, I developed a method for those detecting 1,4-dioxane in the water samples. And then I utilized that method for dishwashing detergent. And it's really difficult because those are forming so much. So I diluted the sample about 1,000 times. Even 1,000 times, usually most systems cannot see any 1,4-dioxane. But we optimize the system and we are focusing those 1,4-dioxane molecular weight 80A, and we determine those concentrations. Actually, we determine 6.9 ppb, then multiply 1,000. So then 6,980 ppb. And the reference lab is EPA Region 3 is Philadelphia. They determine also 1,4-dioxane in Dawn dish detergent as 4,900. And they didn't do Palmolive, but we did that. It's similar, 6,420. And the Iconos lab one is the most expensive detergent, 1,340. So that's why we expected it should be less than regular commercial detergent. And also we checked the gloves, nitrile gloves we're using in the lab. The EPA found 11, but we didn't find that there's some difference. But that can be happen. So this data kind of well matched with EPA Region 3 Philadelphia. So we are happy to determine those, not happy, but we are kind of determine those concentrations. Next slide. Then another thing is recently, you maybe heard about PFOA, PFOS found in groundwater and surface water. And even our blood, our blood has this PFAS. Usually, Teflon coating your fry pan or waterproof clothes and boots, and even those food package has a coating of this PFOA, PFOS, and then we found this in our water source, and combined FOA, PFOA, PFOS 70 nanogram liter, 70 ppt with a response level. So we found at or above 70, we need to shut down the water supply or groundwater well, and we need to report to the public, and we need to set up the treatment system to supply the water to drinking water, for drinking water. And UCMR3, we did actually checking UCMR3 in 2013-15, we checked PFOA and PFOS and the other PFAS. We found those that time reportable limit. The EPA limit is 20 and EPA 40. So below 2040, we reported non-detected. That data, I guess, too high. It was 70, and the current we reduced those RDL. Our lab tried very hard to reduce the RDL 4 and 4. And before I retire, we could reduce to 2 ppt, 2 nanogram per liter and 2 nanogram per liter. So we can see from about 10 times more sensitive than about 5 years or about 10 years ago, 9 years ago. Yeah, next slide. So then we check those PFAS, PFOA and PFOS in the Santana River. We suspected the source of those contaminations from coming on Santana River, and then we noticed it's year-round. It's starting with June. It's less than 10. It's coming up, and the highest number is still below 70. It's 60 ppt was October 14th, 2016, and it go down, and then it comes around 20 ppt. So we monitoring this Santana River to get more information where the PFAS coming to groundwater. Next slide. So it's a kind of a area of YORBA in the ANAHEIM and Fullerton area monitoring wells. It's a monitoring wells, not drinking water wells, but just we are checking the water contaminations and different altitude. Like one has the AM2, ANAHEIM monitoring number 2 is close to those freeway 57, and it's going down like 157 to 1,404 depths. It's keep like 56 to around 70 over 100, and close to this center of AM monitoring 53 as 22 is a 56 deep, 155. So at different depths and the concentrations we reported, and this combined concentration of PFOA and PFOS. Next slide. So we're still checking those contaminations, and now I guess we're setting the on-site treatment plant next to the groundwater wells. About 30 drinking water wells needs on-site treatment. So we are working on, and we shut down those wells, and we're using more wells, pumping the other wells to supply the more drinking water. And our project meets the Orange County's water needs. Groundwater supply is 77% of drinking water, and insistence on the highest quality. So we do monitoring, intense monitoring, and prevention of protections, and working with other agents, collaborations, and we sharing the data. And the history of a successful water reuse in Orange County water with water effect 21 is one of the famous, but it couldn't survive after 76, but it gives a lot of information to us before we building GWRS. Groundwater basin provides environmental buffer and psychological barrier. We are not sending our finished water directly to the tap. We have a buffer of a groundwater basin is a good buffer, so people are more accepting our process than other direct potable use. Public trust of agents, independent. We have expert panels. We have those panels are very important to give us good guidance and good directions. And the successful outreach from concept of the facility to construction, and finally commissioning and continue today. And effective media and the minority outreach program secure the commitments in writing, tours and water testings. Next slide. So GWRS is the most celebrated water plant in the world. 50 award is one of them is 2008 Stockholm Water Award is a Nobel Prize Water Award, and 2014 Lee Award is international award and Americans award, many award and national and international award, and we have over 35,000 plus visitors and the Guinness World Record of water production in the world. Next slide. So OCWD effort to secure new water supplies for drought-proof water supply, expand water reuse system like a GWRS, increase stormwater storage behind the Prado Dam. We have a Prado Dam and Prado wetland. That's another way to treating, remove ammonia and improve water quality is wetland. And the water efficiency and conservation measures, there is expert in this case. And explore direct indirect potable use, not direct, indirect potable use project, and explore ocean water desalination. Currently, ocean water desalination costs 3 times of water reuse process by GWRS, and lots of chemical cleaning of outer membrane. So we use GWRS use of outer membrane about 7 or 8 years, but seawater desalination, I think 2 years of maximum use, and lots of chemical uses and high pressure and more energy. So it costs about 3 times more than water reuse process. Next slide. And I compare the local water, tap water. I know some people like alkaline water, bottled water, and see those tap water, alkaline water is very similar except the THM. You know, the THM, we call THM is a chlorine disinfection byproduct. Those are chloroform, bromodichloromethane, dibromochloromethane, and bromoform. Total THM regulation limit is 80 ppb by EPA. Then it will go down to 60 ppb. Summertime, you know, those some area they have to use a lot of chlorine because of algae problems. Then THMs go above 80. Then water systems, water district, it announced through the media, boil the water before you drinking in case THMs are above 80 ppb. And see that some tap water is really low. I think the tap water has about THMs between 2.9 to up to 30 ppb. And the alkaline water is very similar, but a little less than THM because it removed THM, but it's not much. 2.9, it reduced less than 0.5. But bottled water is like a purified water, it's all gone. And pH is low, and alkalinity is also low because of removing all the carbonates. But health effects, I don't see any health effect between tap water, alkaline water, and bottled water. So I strongly recommend you can drink tap water, but if you don't like it, but you can use bottled water or some purifier, but tap water is not bad for your health at all. Okay, next slide. And also I compared some water quality of tap water, their filtered water at some church in ANAHEIM. And their filtered water didn't work very well. I don't know what kind of filter water. I didn't check it, but I think they don't use maybe RO membrane. So that's why maybe carbon. So mineral removal was very low. If you use RO, they wiped out those copper, zinc, chloride, sodium, but not much. See the pH is close, but not much different, and only less THM. So I think this is a granular active carbon only, no RO. So TOC, total organic carbon, is reduced a little bit. So this tap water, filtered water, all meet the drinking water standards. So there's no worry about drinking tap water. Next slide. So I briefly explained our water quality and how we supplied water in this drought season. So if you have any questions, welcome to answer your questions.
Well, thanks, Lee. That was really informative. I mean, there's one of the things that really stood out to me is just how much testing is going on and that type of stuff. So for those of you who are in the meeting, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask Lee directly. So Lee, you touched on one of the things I hear the most about is, and you mentioned, our tap water is fine, and but it seems like my refrigerator has a filter. Somebody's always trying to sell me a filter, and those filters aren't cheap. So talk about from your testing, I was talking to a representative for the city of Santa Ana one time, and they said that they did a taste test with bottled water and other things, and theirs did really well. So, yes. Again, is there any concerns? So some of the stuff I hear, questions I get are, well, what about chlorines, or what about fluoride and stuff like that? You know this better than anybody else. Is there anything we should be concerned about in our tap water from those?
Yeah, I think that depends on the region where you live. South County, I mentioned in the Central and North Orange County. So those OCWD cover Central North, about 2.5 million. But South County, like go down San Clemente and those areas, about 100% imported water. They come down, you mentioned the 700 miles from Oroville Dam to all the way State Project Water, Colorado, 202 miles. Those has some contaminations, and so we are treating before we supplied water. And then some house, piping is getting old, like a house built in 1920, they use lead pipe. I hope we removed all the replaced lead pipe or lead couples with copper or PEX. And those are Flint crisis. Those areas they state funded to replace their house pipes, but still they can change those pipes. So they have more lead problems and corrosion problems. So depends on the area, some lead and some issues. But Orange County, most houses not that old. So I didn't see much lead or some heavy metals or issues with those drinking water problem. But recently, California, they checked 9,000 fountains at the school district. So they replaced some of the fountain, the faucet. The faucet, the fountain is brass. Some brass is contaminated lead because they add lead in the brass and then causing some lead in the water fountain. So as refrigerators, some are very sensitive. I don't know how sensitive they are, but they recommend put the filters to extend the life of those systems. So I think it depends on requirement.
Great. Now the water that comes to my house. So when you're talking about the testing, can you talk us so when it gets pumped out of the ground, you're testing it there?
Yes.
And then when the water that gets recycled, that's getting tested. Does the water that's leaving Orange County Water District so I live in Garden Grove. When it comes out of the well, does that get tested again by OCWD?
No. I think there's a responsibility of local retailers. We are the wholesale, like a Metropolitan Water District. So we sending the water from well, then it's a responsibility each city or each ILWD, Urban Ranch Water District. They have their own laboratory. They do random sampling at the house or their boundary and make sure their tap water is safe for drinking. So that's each city or each local water district's responsibility.
Okay, and then they all test for a really wide variety of chemicals and stuff too. Is that correct?
No, they do more like a water quality. As you mentioned, the minerals and the THMs, those are emerging contaminants or PFOA, PFOS, or those UCMR. Those I mentioned about a lot of those trace organics like part per trillions. That needs a lot of investment. Okay, we do a PFOA, PFOS. We bought the two LC-MS, liquid chromatography mass spectrum, tandem mass spectrometry. Each cost about $300,000 to half million. So we invest $1 million, two systems to checking PFAS. So each water department or water district, local, they don't have that system, so they have to depend on us. So we have to make sure those are tested at our district.
Great. Anyone else have any questions? No. Okay. Well, what I want to talk about real briefly before we break for the night is Lee has mentioned several times PFOA, PFOS, PFAS is kind of the acronym. So that's a big issue that people are looking at all over the country. Mm-hmm. Orange County, we meet all water quality standards for those we have, but those standards have changed over time. Yes. So one of the things that we're looking at, and Lee mentioned that there were some wells that when the state recently lowered the standards for these chemicals, that the wells, this was immediately known and the wells were taken offline and they're now building treatment systems to deal with that. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we're looking at in Orange County is there's a health study going on. So I'm going to share my screen again and bring up the UCI health study. Mm-hmm. And so this is a study that I'm part of. I'm on the Citizens Advisory Panel for this. And that's part of the reason I wanted to talk about it tonight. So if you're an Orange County resident who lives in the cities of Garden Grove, Orange, Anaheim, or Yorba Linda, then you're eligible to participate in this study, and it's free for you to participate. In fact, they give you a $50 gift card to participate, and they draw your blood, and you get your blood results. And what they're looking at is to develop a nationwide database on the amount of these chemicals in people in different areas of the United States, and see if they can tie that to different health effects. So this study is ongoing right now. There's some preliminary data that's out there that shows some level of health impacts from PFOS, PFOA. There's, for instance, about a 16% higher incidence of kidney cancer in people with high levels of that. But we're learning a lot more, and we need people to participate in these studies so that we can get this data and actually learn more. So I wanted to highlight this this study for you, so that you'd know that you could participate. So does anybody have any particular questions about that? And you can follow up if you have any questions about that. Send an email to me at Ray for Water, and I can send you the link or connect you with the research folks. I want to mention again before we go, Lee is running for Orange County Water District Division 5. We really need change at Orange County Water District, and having Lee there would be a huge benefit. I'm running for Orange County Water District Division 1, and again, it's just, we need people who are really focusing no water and have ideas and plans to actually make things happen. So both Lee and I ask for your vote. Tell your friends. We're really looking forward to that. Any last questions before we jump off for the night?
Yeah, let me add, Ray.
Go ahead, Lee. Yes, please.
Yeah, Orange County Water District, we have 10 board members. 3 of them are appointed, like Senata, ANAHEIM, FULLERTON. Those are city council, and 7 board members are election. And right now is Division 1 is Ray, Division 5 Lee, and 7 is Kelly Law. He is a geologist. I'm a chemist. Ray is a water resource specialist. So 3 of us is water professionals. And otherwise, people are like some politicians or lawyers. We need lawyers and politicians, but we need more water professionals, to give a more impact on our water quality and supply. Thank you. Yeah.
Great point. I wholeheartedly agree. So thanks. Great. So Patricia said she's going to send the information to some relatives and friends. So this FYI, this has been recorded, as you know. This will go up on YouTube, and it'll be available on my website. And then I'm going to send a copy to Lee, and he can distribute it through his outlets. So this will be available for other folks to see. And thanks a lot for your time, and keep an eye out for the next one next Monday, our water future. So thanks a lot, and have a good night.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Lee.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.